Hey, what's up, everybody, and happy Friday. I know it's time to kick back and enjoy your time, maybe a good game or two. But before you do, let's kickstart your weekend with some gaming news. Today we're going to talk about some exciting Nintendo rumors floating around. It sounds like Nintendo might be going big with one of their fan favorite franchises, and I know I sure hope so, because this is actually pretty exciting for me. And then also it appears a new PlayStation 5 model leaked out online ahead of its official release, though its early images and leaked video seems to be confusing some fans as to what exactly they're doing. So we're going to talk all about that, plus plenty more in today's News Dose. To get things started off, though, Xbox Game Pass subscribers are going to be pretty busy this weekend. Of course, we talked about Quake 2 yesterday. Definitely go check that game out. There's a lot of high-quality content packed into that game. But apparently, that's not all for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscribers. Of course, Ultimate subscribers do get different perks and benefits as well, some of which are pretty good, but this might be one of their best perks yet, because you can now redeem Overwatch 2's new Hero Starter Pack, which includes instant access to all 6 Overwatch 2 heroes, a legendary skin for each of them, and additional in-game cosmetics. Now, this will expire on October 11th, so I do suggest you redeem this well ahead of time. That way you don't forget about it. But if you've been paying attention, Microsoft and Activision are actually doing quite a bit together right now. Of course, they are still trying to acquire them, but it seems like Xbox is ready to take advantage of those Activision Blizzard IP. They don't want to wait around. And just kind of a couple examples of this is last month, they randomly fixed those old Call of Duty servers ahead of their previous buyout deadline, which was on July 18th. I think that they were prepping for a big Game Pass announcement last month in the hopes that the acquisition would have been complete by then. But now here we are with Game Pass Ultimate subscribers once again getting a nice perk, this time with Overwatch 2. Again, though, just kind of make sure to redeem it before it expires on October 11th. Moving on, though, Gamescom 2023 continues to sound like a must-watch showcase. Now, I'm not going to say that we should go in with E3 level types of hype of Unreal Engine 5, and even its combat, it seems kind of almost Souls-like inspired. If anything else, it's easy to see why so many people are excited about this game, though the one big question that I consistently see from eager fans is, where is it? We haven't gotten a big update for this game in a very long time, but I'm happy to say that's about ready to change. It is confirmed to be at Gamescom's opening night live event with a new world premiere on August 22nd. Hopefully we'll get a release date and some new gameplay. About that, though, it will also reportedly have a new in-person gameplay demo for the public on August 20th, which unfortunately is limited to China, but this is still a good sign. It means that there's a lot of movement right now for Wukong. The fact that this game is getting a gameplay demo at all, which will be played by the public, means that we are getting closer to a, hopefully, soonish release. If not 2023, then 2024 is looking like a good possibility. Maybe, though, we'll get a better confirmation at Gamescom on the 22nd, but again, it's honestly sounding like a fun showcase this year. Let's go talk about Nintendo, though, and more importantly, Metroid. As some of you all might know, I love the Metroid franchise, and it's been a good week for us Metroid fans. There's actually 2 big rumors going around, one for Metroid Prime 4, and then the other for a new 2D Metroid game. So really, I mean, fans of both types of Metroid can kind of rejoice here. Now, we'll first start off with Metroid Prime 4 just because this game has already been confirmed, and it's been a long time since we've gotten an update for this game. I mean, years ago, Nintendo revealed its logo, which, I mean, at the time was very exciting. They eventually restarted development, but we still know absolutely nothing about its gameplay. Now, maybe we'll see it eventually if Nintendo decides to open the floodgates, but in the meantime, Special Nick over on the Xbox Era podcast, out of all places, claimed his source got him very excited for Metroid Prime 4. According to his source, Metroid Prime 4 is visually unbelievable, and it's surprisingly big and open. Now, he clarified that he doesn't believe it's an open world game, just that the regions are very, very big. However, his source described it as saying it reminded him of Halo Infinite, which is kind of a weird description because that is an open world game, so I don't really know the comparison there. I wouldn't look too into that description, though. But it sounds like there will be some pretty massive zones to explore in Metroid Prime 4. I think for me, the way this kind of sounds is that it's almost Xenoblade-like, if you've played through that series. Now, if you haven't, Xenoblade is not an open world game either, but at times it truly feels open world because they have some pretty massive areas to explore. And that's what I kind of gathered from this leak. I think Metroid Prime 4 might be similar. I think if it's true, it's still going to have a similar playstyle as to the other Metroid Prime games. Don't worry about that. But there might be less doors that splits up entire zones. You take Metroid Prime 1 as an example, and you have certain regions split up with various doors. But in Metroid Prime 4, they might kind of do away with all of those different doors. In Metroid Prime 4, instead, you might just have this huge snowy region to explore, and then you have this huge lava region to explore, and just kind of so on and so forth. Even still, though, I'd still like to see this for myself to kind of get a better grasp as to how it feels, but I'm definitely not in the mindset that open world automatically means better, and I don't think that Metroid should go in that direction. Again, if it's just big, huge zones, I think that sounds okay, and it really might even be a good evolution for the series. I will say this much, though. Them describing it as visually unbelievable, I'm still kind of looking at the Nintendo Switch 2. I think that this could be a launch Switch 2 title, maybe a cross-generation game, but this would be a major launch title for the Switch 2 if they decide to go in that direction, and I personally think that it makes a lot of sense. Metroid has always pushed the boundaries of what Nintendo's hardware is capable of, and what better way to do that than showcase the Switch 2's hardware. And for that matter, it might be what's best for the Metroid franchise. The Metroid fanbase has always wanted to see this series grow, and by being a launch title, it would be very capable of doing just that, similar to what we kind of saw with Zelda Breath of the Wild. Maybe not to that scale, but I think you kind of understand what I'm trying to say. So I am all for a Metroid Prime 4 Switch 2 combination. Now, as for the 2D series, there's been a lot of speculation and rumors that the Metroid Dread studio, Mercury Steam, is working on a brand new Metroid title. There was a leak earlier this year that claimed that they're planning to release a new Metroid in 2025, and well, there is some evidence, a little bit of evidence here that could actually support that claim. Now, the reason I say this is because in the Nordisk Game Financials, which owns 40% of Mercury Steam, well, according to them, they are working on quote-unquote 2 large undisclosed titles. Now, we already know that one of these is a dark fantasy third-person action game in partnership with 505 Games. They announced that back in 2021. So some people might have thought that they were booked up and they didn't have enough resources to work on Metroid as well, but that's actually not true according to this report. Apparently, they do have a second big project in development, which opens up the possibility that, yeah, they could be working on a new Metroid game after all. Now, this really is just speculation leaning into some of the leaks that we previously heard, but after Metroid Dread had a lot of success, I see no logical reason as to why Nintendo shouldn't continue their partnership with Mercury Steam. Metroid Dread became the best-selling entry in the entire series with 3+ million units sold, and it also reviewed well with an 88 overall score on Metacritic. So it's clear that fans like this game. It performed very well, so, I mean, come on, Nintendo. Let's make this happen. Bring us Metroid Prime 4 and a new 2D entry. Like I said, it's been a good week for us Metroid fans. Now, here's something really interesting. A surprising image, and now actually a video as well, emerged online that might show us our first look at the new PlayStation 5 with a detachable disk drive that's rumored for a September release. Allegedly, China got its packaging early and, well, the rest is history. Video footage and everything has now found itself online. Now, I'm not going to show you the footage myself. I'll leave a source for that in the description below, but as you can see from the picture here, it doesn't really appear to be all that different from the current PS5 models, and this actually seems to be confusing a lot of people. This new model is reportedly about 5 centimeters shorter, but its width and thickness is identical to what we already have. It's really just as big as ever, but it has this weird slit on the side, which that's actually very, very important. I'll get back to that here in just a second. But the reason that this seems to be confusing some people is because it's not a slim model. I've seen countless people today surprised by this, like they were expecting a smaller PlayStation 5 Slim. But the original leak never actually said that it was going to be a slim version. Now, some outlets or maybe some fans might have referred to it as a quote-unquote slim model, and that might explain why we're seeing some confusion here. But the original leak always claimed that it's a new PlayStation 5 SKU with a detachable disk drive to replace the current SKUs on the market. Sony only wants this one single model going forward, and that is their intent with this new design, to kind of ease the manufacturing for the PlayStation 5. Now, we can say that it looks weird, that slit, it looks a little odd, but I mean, to be fair here, the PlayStation 5 has always looked a little Alienware-like. So there's not really a major difference in design outside of that slit on the side panels. But again, that slit seems to be rather important here. I think the idea here would be that the side with the disk drive, that bottom part, can be removed and swapped with a regular panel. That's why those slits kind of separate the top from the bottom. If you notice, that bottom part only has the disk drive, and that's because it can probably just slide right off of there. It also allows this new revision to have a more seamless look to it instead of just, having the disk drive kind of hanging off the side of the console. It's actually a pretty smart design, honestly, that keeps the PlayStation 5 looking like a PlayStation 5. Though I guess one thing to kind of keep in mind here is that those PlayStation 5 side panel accessories that you can buy from Sony, the Spider-Man limited edition panel as an example, likely won't work for this new revision. At the very least, you might want to wait for some type of confirmation. Speaking of that, though, another question that I've seen, and this is a very good question, if this is the rumored PlayStation 5 with the detachable disc drive, will that disc drive work with the current PlayStation 5 Digital Edition? And just by looking at here, it might not work because those side panels are designed differently. I mean, maybe you can take both the top and bottom off and replace it with one singular regular panel, but even then, it is reportedly just a little bit shorter than the current PS5. So there's definitely going to be some questions with all that, but still, it would be best to wait for a confirmation from Sony themselves, and with China supposedly already having this in hand, I mean, we've gotten footage and everything, it's really only a matter of time before Sony announces it themselves. And then we'll get all of our questions answered. Until then, though, let me know what you all think about this new PS5 SKU. Now, unfortunately, we do have one more piece of news here, and it is about a delay. I know this is always a very unfortunate topic, but this is for the Lollipop Chainsaw remake, which has now been renamed to Lollipop Chainsaw Repop. It was originally planned for a 2023 release, but it has now been pushed into the summer of 2024. You can actually see their statement here, which reads, "Although development of Repop was carried out with the intention of a 2023 release, our commitment to providing the best possible quality experience to our players led us to making the hard decision to extend the development period in order to ensure this." And as I say with every single delay on this channel, just have patience. Yes, it's disappointing, I understand that, but if it makes for a better game, then it really is for the best. I mean, the fact that this game exists at all is kind of cool on its own. I don't know if a lot of people were expecting a remake, but it is happening, which is kind of cool, and hopefully it'll be treated with care, unlike some other games. Red Dead Redemption. We want a good remake with actual effort, something that Take-Two must have forgotten. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though. We're asked you all to predict the price of the Nintendo Switch 2. And most of you all are expecting a $400 price tag. That actually leans into the leak that we talked about yesterday, and I do agree in this case. I think that this makes a lot of sense. Nintendo is still selling the Switch for $300. That never got a price cut. The Switch OLED is a $350 console. And then they can have this upgrade with an LCD at $400. Now, if it was an OLED, it would likely be $450, which is also probably why they're going to opt in for an LCD instead. Just kind of knowing Nintendo, they're very, very price conscious. They're going to try to keep that price down as much as they possibly can, hence an LCD. $400 though, that is still a little bit more expensive than what we're used to seeing from Nintendo, and even though inflation is going to play a part here, the hope here is that this will be a big upgrade. I truly believe that if they can offer a $400 hybrid handheld console that's capable of running games with PlayStation 4's quality of visuals, that would be a major win for Nintendo. I mean, we were just talking about Metroid Prime 4 earlier, but can you imagine that series with that type of graphical fidelity? That is a fever dream for fans, and that's kind of the thing about Nintendo's games. We really haven't seen that power jump for their first-party games in over a decade, and it's going to be very exciting to see that big upgrade once we get the Switch successor. I absolutely cannot wait. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.